Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport. Right turn, Clyde. What you doing? My wife's car right now. Meeting her out at the shop to drop off her bike. Anyways, I keep seeing these prepping channels that are still putting content up, which is ridiculous. It's like they're fear mongering. Talking about nuclear war. What do you think, Clyde? He says, no, that's bullshit, right? Oh, I did love you too. So a lot of people, they're on board with Israel. And like I said, I'm neutral on it. But before you stand with a country, kind of know what their struggle and their fight is for. Okay? If you look at it, like I said, I'm neutral, but I'm hearing more and more people that just are against Israel. And if you recall, look at what happened. This is playing out almost, I wouldn't say exactly, but it's following the route of the Ukrainian war. And the reason why I say that, I think Mama's behind us. I think my wife's behind us. Anyways, so remember when Ukraine, everybody was like, Russia's not going into Ukraine and this and that. And, I'm not going to reiterate. I said that, a year ago that they were going in. But, and then how everybody was backing Ukraine. And then when the real truth came out, people were not 100% on board with Ukraine, including myself. Ukraine's, they're beating Russia, they're doing this, they're doing that. And now look at it. So the Israel thing happened on the 7th of October. Well, on the 9th of October, 2 days later, Russia's gaining ground and they're seizing territory since then. So like I said in my other videos, you're not going to hear anything about Ukraine right now, right? So Russia's back on the offensive and they're actually taking territory in Ukraine again. So my point is, I'm trying to think, I think that is your mama behind us. I don't know. My wife's on her Harley, but anyways, so you're seeing it play out almost the same way. You have all these people on board with Israel, like, the allies, the nations, all this stuff. And then you're seeing all these protests in the street supporting the Palestinians, right, in Gaza. So just like people were out there, not everyone, don't say everyone, right? No, it's not my wife. So the same thing is, people were out there protesting for Ukraine and this and that, and now you're seeing that stuff pretty much go to the wayside, and now it's acting again. So you're seeing it erupt again, just like the Ukrainian-Russia thing, except this situation is far worse. And the reason being is, people are just like, Hamas is a terrorist organization. Actually, including myself. But I didn't want to obviously get into like a big debate about it. But the more I'm seeing these news channels and these people out there protesting in the masses, for both Israel and Palestine, the Palestinian people, the calling Hamas a terrorist. I mean, in my opinion, they are a terrorist organization. However, factually, they're a government. They don't have an organized army or military like the U.S., Russia, China, Israel. They're actually a government, and the majority ruled for Hamas to represent the Palestinian people. A lot of people don't know also that Israel. So if you look at this big fight, if you look at the overall big picture of things, like I said, I'm neutral. The only way I can kind of like rationalize it, I guess, is the Palestinian people have, Israel, they get, a lot of their food, fuel, power, water, internet, all, because they're like a third world country, man. They don't really have anything in Gaza, right, that they've done themselves. So in return, the Jews, the Israelis, in my opinion, have oppressed them for many years, for decades. But again, that's not. I'm not saying one side is right or one side is wrong. It's just that the things that you look into history and you'll see how this is playing out. So it's basically the government's again putting their thumb on you as an individual, as a human being, right? And like the U.S. putting their thumb on all of us. You know, they don't want, you know, they talk about democracy, but I don't really see it as being a democracy. I really don't. Although, like I said, I'm a vet. I've served my country, and the best place in the world to live is America. I hands down agree with that. I don't believe we have a democracy, though. I mean, I would hate to be living anywhere else in this world but the United States of America. I don't like our government, but I love this country. So before you go out there and I mean, and here's another thing. I had mentioned a couple videos ago, I believe, about Netanyahu. I mean, some people say Netanyahu, BB for short. So he was actually removed as the prime minister of Israel in like 2019, I believe. And he is not liked by, a majority, I don't know about a majority, but a lot of Jews in Israel and actually around the country, around the world, because they say that he was, I think it was, he's under indictment for corruption, bribes, fraud. There's a lot of things that, so this, like all this stuff that's coming out with, Egypt or whatever, Egypt warned Israel and so on and so on. And like I said in my other videos, they keep referring to this as their 9/11, their Pearl Harbor. I believe they truly knew about this, and that's neither here nor there. It's already done. And, now even with the videos coming out, I have not seen any videos or even really wanted to waste my time, because even if they say it was this group that did it, who we don't know for a fact, right? Just like we don't know for a fact what goes on unless you actually lived with the Palestinian people or the Jewish people or whatever the case is in those countries. So they keep referring to this as their 9/11, their Pearl Harbor. So I believe they truly did know about it, just like our government had something to do with 9/11, like I've said in the past. And Netanyahu, he needed this to happen to gain the majority back, to gain, look out the window, Bubba, to gain the support of his people. So he needed this to happen, as the Israeli government did. And Iran, I believe, had a lot of backing with it. And I think part of that was, I mentioned in videos before about how Saudi Arabia and Israel were they were in communication, or they were trying to arrange an agreement that, they would be basically like allies, and the Muslim world couldn't have that. I don't think. I don't know for a fact. You'd have to look that up, but I'm sure that has something to play in it as well, that Iran and Muslims, or Turkey, I mean, they couldn't have Saudi Arabia and Israel backing each other. They just couldn't have that. And it's it's quite interesting how this whole thing is playing out again. And these prepping channels that are talking, they're going to use, they're not using nukes, man. They will not use nukes. And the reason being is, like I said, nukes are cheap, but the industrial war complex, they make billions, if not trillions of dollars from wars, right? And I said, and then another thing, these people here's the thing. The rich elites, if you believe that there is an upper society, which I truly do, excuse me, We went out last night to a wedding. I got pretty tore up. My wife motivated me this morning because we have to go and do some stuff, drop her bike, and go out to Lake Geneva, whatever. So, anyways, so I'm hurting a little bit, getting like that acid reflux. So basically, what has to happen is, or why they will not use nukes. These upper elites, this high society, the people that actually live very wealthy and very comfortably, the people that are actually able to push the button, right? Kim Jong-un, Putin, Xi Jinping, Biden, just so on and so on and so on and so on. People around the world, they live so comfortably. Do you think they actually want to give that comfort up? Absolutely not. They don't want to give that comfort up. They need to stimulate their economies, because when war happens, it stimulates economies. And stop listening to these stupid ass preppers channels that aren't even really prep. Canadian Preppers is a prepper guy. He sells stuff on there. I don't mind Nate too much. But the other two yahoos, Full Spectrum News and New York Prepper, dude, they just got so much clickbait. And all they do is they just read media. They regurgitate what the media is already telling them. They don't even really put their opinions. Actually, they do, but they go off of the opinions of whatever they're reading. And just, they're going to invade Gaza. They're not invading Gaza. There's no way. Israel, unfortunately, cannot stand up alone to Iran, Lebanon, Turkey, the Hamas, Hezbollah. And even like Hezbollah that's the Iranian government. Again, it's, a lot of people don't know, or maybe a lot of people do know that, but I've heard more ignorance out there talking about this and that, but actually Hezbollah is like the government of Iran. So if you think about it, they're not going to use nukes, and they're not going into Gaza, right? They're placing all these tanks and troops and artillery and everything on the borders because they're planning an attack. No, they're not. They're drawing that line. They're saying you're not coming into our country any longer. So of course the media wants to put that narrative out there, because that's exactly what Israel is saying. Like, hey, we're prepared for a ground attack. However, we haven't got the green light yet. And there won't be a green light, because if they do that and they go into Gaza, they're already looked at as animals right now for what they're doing to the Palestinian people in Gaza. So they don't. If you go in there with tanks, more troops, and you just crush that place into literal dust, how do you think the world's going to take that? How do you think they're going to perceive them? They cannot have that. They cannot have that. It's not going to happen. And like I said, these upper rich elites, they don't want nuclear war. Why would you want to go from private jets, yachts, great food, riches, jewelry, nice clothes, women, comfortable lifestyles, mansions? Why would you want to go from that to an underground bunker or living in solitude? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. Now, I truly believe they're doing this for population control. I truly believe that, but I'm the crazy guy, right? And that's just my opinion. You can have your opinion, I could have my opinion. But there will not be a Gazan war. They're already at war, but they will not go into Gaza. I'm sure Tier 1 guys are going in there to, scout, recon, give intel, you got to do that, right? But that's what they're for. Those are the guys, the elite of the elite. And we're not the only country to have Tier 1 there, I'm sure. A lot of other countries probably have Tier 1 in there as well. They need to do that. But as far as a full-fledged invasion of Gaza, ain't happening. Nuclear war, ain't going to happen. Like I said, those upper elite, if you had that kind of wealth and you had that kind of power in the current society, would you want to give that all up? Absolutely not. And come on, man. Putin and Netanyahu, they have close communication. You don't, and Trump and all these guys, Biden and all these, You don't think that they're on the phone saying, come on, man, we gotta calm this down. Well, hey, man, you threw one rock at me, so I gotta throw two. Okay, fair enough. So on and so on. They're just, they're all just thumping their chests, and they're saying, like I saw all these videos on Iran, their underground nuclear missiles bases or facility or whatever the case is. And that's another thing. So it's one video, right? Well, that's like the U.S. just doing one video of one aircraft carrier. And they're going to do a video on their best aircraft carrier, right? They're going to do it on their best troops, right? They're not going to show, some desk poke that's doing nothing, or a shitty ass, aircraft carrier, or a shitty ass jet, or whatever the case is. They're not going to do that because it's all propaganda. They're all chest thumping. They're saying, look at this. This is exactly what we have. Well, those trucks, they have like this truck that launches the drones in Iran and this and that. Well, those trucks got to come out of there somewhere. You don't think that Intel and satellites have pinpointed the entrance to that place? They got to come out sometime. So these prepping channels that are telling you guys that, you should always be prepared regardless. However, don't listen and get your panties all scrunched up and, oh my God, it's going to be nuclear war, and, it's not going to happen, guys. It's just not going to happen. I could be wrong, but all things point to non-nuclear and or not using nukes, and not going into Gaza and not going into Lebanon to attack Hezbollah. They're literally defending themselves now at this point. They don't, Israel, I from what I heard is a pretty strong military. But they're also, they're not, Israel looks like a star high school or a star college football player, or a star quarterback on a D1 team, but they look like, oh my God, they're awesome. But look who they're playing. They're playing a D3 school or a high school team, right? That's what they're doing. Because Hamas, Hezbollah's a little different, but not as much different. Neither one of them have an air force. Iran has an air force, but I don't believe they have many ships. They got ground, boots on the ground. They got, vast numbers. But look what they're doing. You're a D1 school playing a D3 or a high school football team. Of course you're going to look like an all-star. Of course. And if you didn't, give it up, man. Give it up. So, but anyways, I'm just sick of these prepping channels talking about, using nukes and going into Gaza and all that. They're not going to. They have the strongest air force there. Why would you risk ground troops? And I know I've said this, and I'm reiterating what I already said, but that's these prepping channels just keep putting out this fluff, this garbage, this drivel that, they're using nukes and this. They're doing it for views, obviously, and it just pisses me off. Like, these people just feed into it. Like, these people they love doomsday scenarios. They love, what's the old saying, misery enjoys company, right? And they're sitting in their living rooms with their finger on the trigger just waiting for this shit to happen because their lives are so miserable. They got nothing going on. So they're literally drooling at the mouth. And they're like, man, I love this shit. I'm okay if we went to war. I truly am. I've lived a decent life. So, but Clyde says, Clyde, you do the same thing, right? He said, Daddy, forget that BS. Anyways, give you guys my 2 cents. Clyde actually told me, he's like, Dad, you should really do a video, tell the people. And I also had some requests to do a video on, and I did one a long time ago when I was in my truck with the carry in your bug out bag. But I'm going to do a video probably tomorrow or maybe even tonight. Just a simple video. But if you want to go back into my videos like a few years ago, I did a pretty entailed bug out bag, what they have in your bug out bag. So, but I'm going to do a fast one. So you guys can just kind of make a list, and something that's not, you know, a gazillion dollars per se. So anyways, like I said, guys, please stop listening to that drivel, man. They're full of shit. So anyways, please like and subscribe to the channel. Ciao.